Today on Locked On Canadiens with Adam Engström being called up, Jayden Struble and Arber Xhekaj don't have to be the best defensemen on the team, but they absolutely cannot be the worst.
You are Locked On Canadiens, your daily podcast on the Montreal Canadiens. Part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
Hello, everyone, and welcome into another episode of Locked On Canadiens. Thank you for making us your first listen of the day and for making us the number one sports podcast network here at Locked On, part of the Locked On Podcast Network. We are your team every day. And today's episode is brought to you by FanDuel. Download the FanDuel app now by visiting FanDuel.com and win $300 in bonus bets if your first $5 bet wins. My name is Ian Blavier, also known as @MeBeatine. I'm joined, as I always am, by the actor Stick, Laura Saba. And look, we're going to jump right into it. We teased the Adam Engström call-up a lot yesterday. The Canadian schedule has given us the benefit of some time to let these things breathe and think a little bit more about them. So we'll get into Adam Engström joining the Canadiens on this road trip. We'll get into that road trip in our weekly forecast. It's a really tough week ahead for the Canadiens, but maybe some signs for optimism heading into a very tough week. And then I want to crack back into the power play. It's been much maligned over the last little while, but there's some signs that things are getting better, and maybe they're due for some positive regression in the days to come. But let's start with Adam Engström, Laura. Over the weekend, he had an explosive game for the Laval Rocket. He had a 5-point game against the Belleville Senators. We love to see a guy who loves to put up points against any team affiliated with the Ottawa Senators. It was their teddy bear toss game too, which was always super fun to see all the teddy bears come flying over the boards after, I believe it was David Reinbacher scored the goal that did that. But it seems like the Canadiens are really rewarding Adam Engström for an incredible start to his AHL season. I mean, his second pro season in North America. What are your immediate thoughts on him getting the call to join the Montreal Canadiens?
Well, I think it's really funny that he was named the AHL Player of the Week when he's not even in the AHL. He's in the NHL. That was my first thought. I'm excited about this guy. You know, like we talked about it in the preseason. We talked about it a lot. Like he has shades of Mike Matheson, but the things that make Mike Matheson good, right? He's able to play a lot of minutes. He's defensively sound. He's able to put up points. He's able to play a lot of situations. I think the Montreal Canadiens are doing the right thing in rewarding him. I mean, obviously they do need a body to go on this road trip with them. Given that, you know, Ken Gooley isn't coming back for, you know, a million years. So I think, you know, this injects some positivity into the lineup. It's a great story, but more importantly, this is a great player. This is a player who we know can keep up with the NHL. We know they only sent him down to the AHL because that's where he was going to thrive, because they weren't going to play him very many minutes in the NHL, right? Yeah. There was literally no room for him on the roster, and that's the only reason he went to the AHL, so that he could dominate there. But there's absolutely no reason that, given time and minutes, he can't have that game translate to the NHL level.
Yeah, if you remember, we go back to training camp, right? He was one of the last cuts. Yeah. He was one of the last guys hanging around. And for good reason. He had a really strong camp with the Canadiens. He's had an even better start to the year for the Laval Rocket. 18 games, 5 goals, 9 assists for 14 points, just 6 penalty minutes. So it's 3 minor penalties for him so far this season. That's a penalty every 5 games from what it looks like. The one concern I have is not even necessarily a concern about Adam Engström, just more so the construction of the Canadiens' defense right now. I joked off the top that, you know, it's sort of right now, Arber Xhekaj and Jayden Struble are trying to run away from a bear. And right now, they don't need to be faster than the bear. They just need to be faster than the guy behind him. Yeah. So, like, I'm looking at those two, knowing that if the Canadiens want to inject Adam Engström into this lineup, it's likely one of those two coming out. But you don't replace what Jayden Struble and Arber Xhekaj do by putting in Adam Engström. It would really be a case of the Canadiens deciding, we're just going to beat you with foot speed. We're going to beat you on the ground. We're gonna try to outrace you, which might work against some teams. It might be a fight fire with fire attempt with the Colorado Avalanche, who are one of the fastest teams in the league. We'll get into that in a minute in our weekly forecast in our second segment. But I just wonder long term about what the construction of this defense is supposed to look like. And that's the one knock I have against Adam Engström, is that they have what he does in spades. Is it does he have a future with this team given that maybe if they sign Mike Matheson to an extension, is Engström still a part of this team moving forward? I hope so. I hope they can find a way to make that work, but there's only 6 roster spots or six lineup spots for defensemen. And you need to add more people like Jayden Struble and Arber Xhekaj that are big and mean and physical. And the Canadiens already have fast puck-moving offensive defensemen. So it would just kind of be like them doubling down on what's already kind of made that unit successful. What do you make of that? Like, is that a legitimate concern with this player, and more so just the way the team has constructed their blue line?
Sure. I don't disagree with you, but I think that we've framed it in our own minds, right? Like, he reminds us of Mike Matheson. We
Yeah.
framed it as an either or situation, right? And I personally feel that there is room for both of them on this defense. Like, I feel like there's always going to be someone who's rotating out.
Yeah.
That's the only way I see them playing, right? Like, between Jayden Struble, Arber Xhekaj, and him. And I know they don't play the same kind of game. It just feels like there's just too many defensemen, just period. There's just too many defensemen.
Yeah. It seems like the Canadiens have had that quote unquote problem for a few years now. It's why Jonathan Kovacevic is a New Jersey Devil, right?
Mhm.
It's why they had to it's why Jordan Harris was
Had to go.
traded
Yeah.
in the Patrick Laine deal. There just wasn't enough room for all of those guys. I am genuinely curious to see, long term, which is not really the point of this call up, right? We're not talking about long term. I would imagine this time 2 weeks from now, he's back in Laval crushing big minutes with the Laval Rocket.
Yeah.
What game so the Canadiens are planning on playing him on this trip, because otherwise why call him up? You could have just called up Mark Del Gaizo again and had him hang out on the bus for a few days with the team. They didn't do that. I wonder how much of that is to reward Engström with an NHL paycheck for a week, because that's ultimately what it would really come down to. Even if he doesn't play, he gets paid like an NHLer, which is far better than what he's making in the American Hockey League. But it feels like he's gonna get into a game, right?
Yeah, and I think it would be the Mammoth game.
Really, you think they'd start him off right away on Wednesday?
I think it's the quality of the opponent versus the right situation, if that makes sense.
Yeah. I wonder if they want to get him into some practices with the team first. They'll get maybe 2 before then. And I also wonder if Marty is looking for a reason to take out Xhekaj or Struble to do so. Him changing his lineup after what happened on Saturday seems fairly far-fetched for me personally, just knowing how coaches think, right?
It's not a thing he does.
Right. It's not a thing he does. It's not a thing most coaches do. They don't want to touch a winning lineup. It sends the wrong message to a lot of those guys. So I wonder if we see how the Mammoth game goes, and if one of them, even if they win, if one of them stinks it up, you go, hey, we're going to get the new guy in there.
Yeah.
I think I would personally be targeting the Vegas game that afternoon. I mean, Vegas is good. They're definitely banged up. They've definitely underperformed, especially as of late. We'll get into that in our weekly forecast. But I'm not putting him in against Colorado. That seems like a really scary thing to do to a guy who's going to be playing his first NHL minutes, his first NHL shifts, and you look up and it's Nathan MacKinnon coming at you, especially on the road where you can't control the matchup. And Jared Bednar's he's going to smell blood in the water and say, I'm throwing out the league's best player to go after the guy who's never played in the National Hockey League yet. It's not a recipe for success. Then again, did it seem like a recipe for success when they started Jakub Dobeš in his first NHL game against the reigning Stanley Cup champions and he gets a shutout? Like,
no.
I'm really curious to see how this plays out. I think the timing of it is really fascinating, just in that Engström had his best week of the season. He had his best game of the season. And okay, we'll call him up to the National Hockey League. By the way, we're going on what is now the toughest road trip in the National Hockey League, if we're being honest. Like, with the Mammoth finally being good, Vegas always being good, and Colorado being the best team in the National Hockey League. This is the hardest 3-game road trip that you will have in the National Hockey League now. Yeah. And to call him up for that, I think is a big is a big statement from the Canadiens. Any last thoughts on Adam Engström before we move on?
I'm just excited for his debut. I'm excited for whenever they decide it's going to be.
Me too. We were big Engström boosters in the preseason. I loved his game. I love what he brings. He's a very modern approach to defensemen in the National Hockey League right now. So very excited for that. Also, I know our buddy Scott is over the moon about this call-up. Very much loves this player. So we're all rooting for him.
I feel like this podcast has a type. We have a type between your Jeff Petrie love, between our defense of Mike Matheson, between our love for Adam Engström, between our like championing the Noah Dobson trade. I feel like this podcast has a type.
We love a puck-moving defenseman.
Yes.
We love it.
He better call us back.
I hope he does. All right. We'll leave that there. When we come back, we'll break down the week. It's a tough one for the Canadiens. A very weird schedule. Really tough teams. We'll tell you how we think the Canadiens will fare on this road trip when we come back on Locked On Canadiens. The NBA is back, and there's no better place to get in on the action than FanDuel, the official sports betting partner of the NBA. Even if you missed the start of the game or you want to ride the hot hand, FanDuel has live bets on everything from who will score next to fourth quarter comebacks. Plus, you can even combine your live bets into a same-game parlay for a shot at a bigger payout. And look, if you're an NHL fan, if you're riding the games like I am, I'm always throwing stuff down onto anytime goal scorers. Josh Anderson versus the Toronto Maple Leafs would have been a perfect example of one where you know he's going to score against that team. Those are the ones that I'm kind of hammering. It keeps every game exciting, especially when your team is making that late push. Right now, FanDuel is giving new customers $300 in bonus bets when your first $5 bet wins. So head to FanDuel.com to sign up and play your game with FanDuel, the official sports betting partner of the NBA. Today's episode is also brought to you by Doer. I am so excited for the new clothes that I got from Doer. I've been reaching for my new Doer jeans for everything. You can't see it because, the camera's pointed up, but I'm wearing them right now. They're so comfortable I can wear them around the house, but they also double as casual attire for work when I go into the office or if I'm hanging out with friends. Doer jeans have 5 times the stretch of traditional denim. You've worn those jeans that just don't have any give to them. Doer jeans are super stretchy, maximizing comfort. And they're made with Cool Max that regulates your body temperature and wicks moisture. This is my biggest factor when it comes to these jeans. I run hot, so Doer allows me to wear the jeans I love while keeping cool. Doer are pioneers of blending technical innovation with everyday clothing. They invented the original performance denim, and once you've worn a pair, you won't be able to go back to the other stuff. Simply put, Doer makes the world's most comfortable pants without having to sacrifice style. Trust me, once you try these, they'll be your go-to, just like they are for me. Get yourself a pair, or as an amazing holiday gift, like I'm going to do for everyone in my family, by going to doer.ca/lockedoncanadians. You'll get 15% off your first order. That's DUER.ca/lockedoncanadians for 15% off. Doer.ca/lockedoncanadians. All right, we're back. It's weekly forecast time. There's a chance here for 4 out of 6. I will say up front, if they get 4 out of 6, this is the greatest road trip, I think, in the history of this franchise. I cannot overstate just how difficult this stretch is going to be for Montreal. At Utah, at Vegas, at Colorado. It's also Thanksgiving here in the States, so the times of these games are odd. We'll start. Yeah, stupid is a great word. I'll say specifically the Vegas game.
Yeah.
The Vegas game is at 4 p.m. on Friday because it's Black Friday in the States. It's the game after U.S. Thanksgiving. We all have that as a holiday. Most Canadians do not.
No. And they always involve Canadian teams in those.
Always. It's like, just if Vegas wants to play San Jose, do it. None of them have work. It's fine. But, I'm lucky enough to be one of those rare Canadians fans living in the States. So I'll be watching that game and maybe, sending my thoughts out into the onto the internet so you guys can still follow along somehow. But let's start at the beginning of the week. In Utah, that's a 9:30 start on Wednesday. Is that a pajama party for us, Laura? It has to be, right?
I think so.
Yeah, we'll have a pajama party on Thursday for that one. The Canadiens, this is their second game against Utah this season, so they'll finish the season series. The Canadiens won 6-2 back on November 8th. It seems like a lifetime ago, but it was really the last big win the Canadiens got before going on their terrible slump and then winning again on Saturday against the Toronto Maple Leafs. 2 goals
Also
from Cole Caufield.
win.
What's that?
Also a big win.
It was a statement win for that team, right? Like, these are supposed to be, Utah is a peer for the Montreal Canadiens, right?
Mm-hmm.
They're like mirror franchises right now. 2 goals from Caufield in that one, 2 points from Kapanen and Newhook. Montembeault, 25 saves on 27 shots on 926. That was one of only 3 starts where Montembeault had a save percentage over 900. All time, the Canadiens are 2-0-1 versus the Mammoth. They've outscored them 13-8. What are you looking for in the rematch here? Montreal goes into Utah's stadium. Can they sweep the season series against Utah, and how do they do it?
I need the goalies to be able to stop a beach ball. I think
Yeah.
that's where it starts. I really do, because as you said, Utah is a peer, right? And since that game, we've definitely lost Newhook, and
Yep.
we've lost Doc, right? I believe Gooley was already out at that point, right?
Yep.
That's why I kind of thought they might play Engström in this game. But here's what I want. I just want the goaltending to be average. And then everything else to be like they did against Toronto. Well, almost everything else. I don't want that first 10 minutes against Toronto.
Yeah, that was
But I
bad.
want, they did a lot in that game. They found ways to win. They found each other. We talked a lot about how Mike Matheson, Lane Hudson, and Ivan Demidov, their vision really, enabled other people to score. I think that's one of the biggest things is that if this team is able to click, they're going to be okay. But if they're worried about the goaltending, they're not able to be free. And I think it's that freedom that they were able to, after scoring those 2 goals against Toronto, it's that freedom to do their thing that really made the difference on Saturday night. And so when they're, it's kind of like how you see a goalie's body, like if they're crouched into the net, if they're fighting the puck, if they're having problems. You can also see that in the Montreal Canadiens, those stupid mistakes they make, passing to nobody, those turnovers, it's the equivalent. And so if they have the freedom to be confident and to be able to get back to their game, I'm not saying that Cole Caufield is going to score 2 goals again. I'm not saying anything like that. I'm just saying that what I'm looking for is for them to have confidence goaltender out.
Yeah, I bet Caufield scores in that game. He didn't score on Saturday. He shot the puck a ton. He didn't score on Thursday against Washington. He shot the puck a ton. I think he's due. I'm going to put my almost guarantee on Cole Caufield scoring a goal against the Utah Mammoth on Wednesday. Let's move on from that one. Vegas. That is the 4 p.m. start on Friday. Vegas is 10-4-7 for 27 points, third in the Pacific. They are 4-2-4 in their last 10, though, so just barely treading water by NHL standards. They split the series last year. Montreal lost 6-2, and they won 3-2 on that road trip that really changed the season for them. The 6-2 loss was on November 23rd, 2024. The Canadiens were 7-11-2 at the time. Their 3-2 win came on New Year's Eve. The Canadiens were 17-17-3. So they really evened things up by the time that they got to that point. Jack Eichel, 29 points in 21 games. Mitch Marner, 21 points in 21 games. Dorofeyev is their leading goal scorer with 11 goals. They have 3.19 goals for per game. That's 8th in the league. 2.8 goals against per game play. That's 13th. Power play is 6th at 24%. PK is 80.4% for 16th in the National Hockey League. What is it about Vegas that I know Montreal can beat this team, but I'm always nervous about them?
Yeah, I think it's like the problem is I think everyone always underestimated them from the beginning. And I think that's always been and they show themselves to be ruthless and not really care about anything, and especially not the players that they sign or trade for. I think, it seems like it's not an evenly matched team by any means. Like, I think the Vegas Golden Knights are much closer to being a contender. What I really want from the Montreal Canadiens is for them to make life difficult. I know we talk about them making life difficult for the goalies. This time around, I want them to make life difficult for that top line.
Yep.
Yeah.
You
Hard
have
match.
to find a way.
Yeah. Nick Suzuki, like Mitch Marner should be wearing Nick Suzuki all night long.
It's true. That's gonna. I want the Josh Andersons in the world need to make that a really hard game for those guys. All right.
Arber Xhekaj can come up big. I just want to say one thing.
Yeah.
I really think that Jack Eichel and Mitch Marner are hilarious when you make them mad, and the Montreal Canadiens need to remember that. Like, there are a few players in the National Hockey League that are like that, and I think that Mitch Marner and Jack Eichel are tops.
Yeah, for sure. All right, let's gush about the Colorado Avalanche and then head into our final segment here. Colorado, this is the 3 p.m. Saturday start. Both teams will be in the second half of a back-to-back with travel, so no team gets the edge there. Colorado, 16-1-5 for 37 points. They are first in the National Hockey League. They are 7 points ahead of second place in Carolina. To put that in perspective, The gap between first and second is 7 points, which is the same as the gap between second and 25th in the National Hockey League. Colorado is lapping the field right now.
Yeah.
Montreal last year fared pretty well against the Avalanche, 1-0-1 versus the Avs last year, a 2-1 shootout win on January 4th, and a 5-4 shootout loss on March 22nd. That one, Montreal trailed 4-1 in the third period and rallied and came back. That was the best shootout, the best feeling shootout loss I've ever experienced. Dvorak tied the game with an incredible shot. Juraj Slafkovsky had 2 in that one. The stats here for Colorado are gaudy. 4 goals for per game played is first. 2.18 goals against per game is first. Their power play is the one knock against them, 15.7%, which is 24th in the National Hockey League. And their penalty kill, 87% first. Nathan MacKinnon, 37 points in 22 games. He leads the league in points and goals. Cale Makar, 29 points in 22 games. Marty Necas, 13 goals, 15 assists, 28 points in 22 games. Are we just hoping for a point in this one, Laura? It's like I find winning this game to be nearly impossible unless Colorado implodes.
Yeah, and I don't think that we're being pessimist by saying that. Like, Colorado is just that good. It's that good, right?
It's a different league.
Freaking love watching them, man. Yeah. It's been years, right? Like, I've been watching like 6 years. Like, there's so much joy out of watching this team. But okay, real quick. What I need from the Montreal Canadiens is like the same way that I felt before the first playoff round against the Washington Capitals. Like, to me, I was like, that's school. You're going to school when you're going through this playoff round. This game is school, right? So you don't want a 7-0 shellacking like against the Dallas Stars, right? I want an effort. I want to see what they learn. I want to see what they try. I want to see what they do. I'm not saying they can't win. I'm just saying that Colorado is really good, so we need to manage our own expectations.
This could end up being a very consequential 7 days for the Canadiens. They win against Toronto on Saturday, and then they go on this road trip. If they can put their season back on the rails here, you know, not to say that if they lose some games here, the season's over, far from it. But the fact that they put with that win against Toronto, they put themselves in a position where this week could seriously turn their season from just okay to back to, oh my God, this team is incredible. I think that that's well within the realm of possibility here. And I think you can do that with 3 points. Yeah. I think 3 points against these teams, and you go back home against Ottawa and Winnipeg the following week, and you go, man, that was a great week for us.
Yes, absolutely.
All right, we will leave that there. Not 4 out of 6 this week. We're good with 3 out of 6. We'll leave the weekly forecast there, and we come back. I want to talk about the power play and whether or not they're overpassing and how the Canadiens can possibly get out of that funk. And we'll do that in just a minute here on Locked On Canadiens. Today's episode is also brought to you by Game Time. Hockey season is officially here, and nothing beats being in the arena for those opening games. But let's be real, getting tickets can be a total headache. Between waiting in queues, surprise fees, and prices that jump right before checkout, it's easy to get frustrated when all you want to do is cheer on your team. That's where Game Time comes in. It's the app that gives fans the advantage, and it's the ultimate life hack for scoring amazing NHL tickets fast, easy, and stress-free. Look, we've talked a lot about the game I just went to with my friend Laura and my wife at the Bell Center. It was my first time there, and Game Time is what made it super easy. I was able to see which tickets were the best deals. I was able to see the view from my seat, and I love that I saw exactly what I was going to pay. There were no hidden fees at checkout. Their zone deals are also a game changer. You pick the section, Game Time picks your seats, and you save big. You can even find NHL tickets for under $25. So take the guesswork out of buying NHL tickets with Game Time. Download the Game Time app, create an account, and use code LOCKDOWNNHL for $20 off your first purchase. Terms apply. That's code LOCKDOWNNHL for $20 off. Swipe, tap, ticket, go. All right, let's talk about the power play, Laura. I thought against Toronto, the power play looked as good as it has in weeks, and they still did not score. And they were passing the puck around a lot. There's that very now somewhat famous clip of the Canadiens at the end of one power play, drawing another penalty, pulling the goalie, and with the delayed penalty, just continuing to do Harlem Globetrotter stuff, move the puck around. And the only way the Leafs got out of that situation was that Joseph Wool's mask came off because the Canadiens kept hitting him in the face with the puck too much. are the Canadiens still overpassing on their power play, or are they doing that in service of finding the right play?
I think they're chasing a play that might not exist. I
Yeah.
think they need to not lower their expectations. I think they just sometimes you need a garbage goal, and sometimes in the power play you just need to take the shot. It's not going to be
Yeah.
beautiful. Like it doesn't have to be a highlight reel. It just has to go towards the net. Now, I do think that sometimes I'm noticing when they're doing that, they're not concentrating on putting enough pressure on the defenders. And some teams are better than others, obviously, at the penalty kill. We just talked about Colorado being number one. Don't know what that's going to look like on next Saturday, but we'll worry about it on Saturday afternoon. I think it really is a matter of they're trying to find the perfect opportunity when none exists. Like it's always like you hear that piece of advice. If you wait until you're ready, you're never going to be ready.
Right.
You're never going to do
Yeah.
it, right? And that's what they're doing. They're waiting until someone's ready, and it doesn't have to be. Just shoot.
Yeah, I agree. What I liked most about that Leaf game and the power plays there is it seemed like they were finding Caufield for shooting opportunities more often than they had. And Caufield was more willing to shoot the puck than he had been, in the previous couple weeks. So I think I personally think that the way the power play is playing shows me that they are on the verge of breaking out again. That they are right there about to, blow this thing open again. Now they've taken Slafkovsky off of the top unit. At least this is from the game in Toronto. Slafkovsky goes down to the second unit. Demidov back to the first unit. And you still have Bolduc sitting in the slot sort of at the end of the bumper play. Curious to see how long that stays intact because I just don't see them. Like Bolduc is out there for one reason.
Mm-hmm.
And it's to get that puck in the slot and shoot it. And they're not getting him the puck in the slot to shoot it. So I'm wondering, how much longer that has viability as a unit for the Canadiens. I would much rather have Slav there in front of the net or at the side of the net, doing his thing than having Bolduc sitting there as a very one-dimensional option for the Canadiens. Because even when the puck is at the point and Hudson has it, he's moving on the goal line, it's not like Bolduc is screening the goalie. A lot of the times at that point, he's moving out of the way. So I'm really curious.
Well, he's chasing the pass. That's what he's doing. He's chasing the pass.
Right.
But
exactly.
Yeah, but you want his butt more in the goalie's face.
Exactly. If he's not receiving the pass to bang in a one-timer from the slot, I want him facing the other way, trying to block the goalie's vision and maybe deflect the puck in the net. And I don't think that's a controversial ask of this player. Like I think that that's the sort of archetype that this guy hopes to be in the National Hockey League. I thought that the goal that the power play goalie scored against Washington, you had said they need to score dirty ones. I had hoped that the Gallagher one was dirty enough. That puck barely squeaked over the goal line. It was a rebound that he just banged in. Like I was hoping that would be like, all right, cool. We got the gross one out of the way. We can get back to scoring some nice goals. It looked like the Canadiens have tried, but they just haven't been able to execute. They haven't been able to finalize those plays. I want to see Demidov become a legitimate shooting threat on these power plays. I want a shooting threat from both sides, which is why I really don't understand Bolduc in the middle at that point. Because if you've got Demidov taking one-timers from one side and Caufield taking them from the other side, you just have to find ways to get the puck to either one of those guys. And power play units can't just fully load up on one side and go, we're taking this away from you, right? So I'm curious to see how they do this, but I just feel like this team, the movement that we saw against Toronto, and the movement that we've seen over the last few games now, leads me to believe that this power play unit is on the verge of breaking out. And should they get hot against, Utah and then Vegas, I'm really curious to see what they look like against the league's top penalty kill in Colorado. Should they be so fortunate as to get power plays from the officiating that they've been getting lately? Any last thoughts on the power play before we move on to our trivia?
No, I'm curious. I think one thing we do have to remember though, is that against a team like Colorado, I think the Montreal Canadiens are probably going to be heavily penalized.
It's possible. Yeah.
Yeah. That's the only thing.
Yeah, and I'd be curious to see what Colorado's penalty differential is. I imagine they have the puck most of the game, so they probably are pretty great in that respect. I'm really with that game, I'm just curious to see how well the Canadiens are able to hold on and keep it close and maybe steal one. I don't know. Goaltending is massively concerning heading into that game. I don't know. I don't even know who you start in that game, quite honestly.
You get someone new between now and then.
Yeah, Capo Kekkonen, you're on your way up. Make your way out to Colorado. No, I don't think that that's a better
Absolutely
option.
not.
Yeah. All right, we'll leave that there. Let's do our trivia and head out of here for the day. Yesterday's question was about Mike Matheson. His first assist on Saturday was his 200th career assist. He added another assist on Josh Anderson's empty net goal, giving him 201 total career assists. And 112 of those were as a Montreal Canadien. Which two former Habs defensemen is Matheson currently tied with in assists by a Montreal Canadiens defenseman? So he's tied with these two guys in assists. Who are they, Laura? Do you know the answers?
Yes, it is Craig Rivet.
Yes. And it's Terry Harper.
Terry Harper. I'm so sorry.
So yes, Craig Rivet and Terry Harper. Matheson's next assist will give him sole possession of 18th all-time in assists by a Habs defenseman. All of this courtesy of StatHead, Hockey Reference. They are the reference family of websites. This is their paid subscription. If you are interested in stats like this, I really recommend paying the monthly fee for this sort of access. It's really intuitive to use. I really want to support these guys and what they're doing. So go get a StatHead membership if you enjoy stuff like that. Today's answer was correctly given to us by our Roberts brother, Kyle Roberts, David Waddy, and Super Rain, all delivering the correct answer in this one.
And also, I cheated and I didn't get it.
That's okay.
You know,
I'm glad you admitted you cheated, though. That's a level of integrity that I really admire about you. All right. Today's question is about Brendan Gallagher. In 2 games, Brendan Gallagher will tie Tom Johnson for 16th in all-time games played by a Montreal Canadien with 857. Since the start of the season, how many players has Brendan Gallagher passed in all-time games played for the Montreal Canadiens? So since game 1 of this season, how many players has Brendan Gallagher passed in all-time games played as a Montreal Canadien? If you have the answer, put it in the comments down below this video. Let us know how smart you are, and we'll give you a shout-out on the next episode of the show. And that is going to do it for us today on this episode of Locked On Canadiens, part of the Locked On Podcast Network, now the #1 sports podcast network. I really do enjoy saying that. Thank you for subscribing and making us your first listen of the day. It really supports us here on the show and ensures you don't miss an episode. For your next listen, go check out the Locked On NHL podcast, specifically Locked On NHL Game Night. After every game, after every night, they're breaking down every game in the National Hockey League, and you'll hear from the local hosts. Especially if the Canadiens win, you'll hear us talking about our thoughts on what happened with the Montreal Canadiens. So make sure you subscribe to Locked On NHL wherever you get your podcasts. You can find the show Locked On Canadiens everywhere we are posting things. Locked On Canadiens on Blue Sky, Instagram, and TikTok. LockedOnCanadiens@gmail.com is the best way to send us emails, mostly mailbag questions, or you have some fun fan mail for us. We really love hearing from you guys, so make sure you reach out to us. You can find me at Maybe It's Ian. You can find Laura at The Active Stick. Thanks so much for tuning in, and I will see you tomorrow. Laura's taking the day off, but I'll see you guys tomorrow.